Good morning, guys. This is a different kind of video. No Bushman, no prank video. This is a story of me and my journey to my 5th open heart surgery. Today we're going to see the surgeon who's going to do my operation. Make the ground shake. Right now we're going to get blood work done. I take this medicine that thins your blood every other day. I have to go get my blood work done and they test how thick my blood is or how thin my blood is. That's what today is going to be because my wife won't let me do the Bushman.
No. We both agreed.
It's not safe for me to do the Bushman right now with the condition of my heart. A couple weeks ago, I was on the way to work and I was talking to my wife on the phone and she said my words were slurring. The day went on a few more minutes and I got dizzy and I was driving on the way to work. I pulled over the side of the road because the road was spinning round and round and round. So I went to work after it. The dizziness lasted about 5 minutes. So I went to work. I had a headache most of the day. I was gonna call a doctor after I got off work, but my wife took the initiative and called my doctor and they told me to go to the ER. So I went to the ER, they did a CAT scan to make sure I didn't have a stroke because I've had a stroke in the past. The CAT scan showed it was negative of a stroke, but they determined at the end of my stay that I did have a minor stroke, which is called a TIA. So they kept me in the hospital that night. My heart rate went up to, I have a pacemaker which paces my heart about 60 beats per minute, 66 beats per minute. My heart rate kept on jumping up 160. It only lasts like a few seconds, but that's not good. That your heart goes boom and then back down. So they wanted to figure what that was. They had this medicine that they can put me on. So I had to stay in the hospital for this medicine and I'll have my wife explain it to you because I don't comprehend it that well.
Sotalol is a drug that could have major side effects, and because it's a new drug, they keep you in the hospital for what's called drug therapy, and they put you on the medicine to make sure there's no side effects and it's safe for you. There.
That's why I stayed in the hospital first night. A couple days later, after they tested the drug on me and stuff, they wanted to do a TEE.
A transesophageal echo.
They stick a tube down your throat to look at your heart a better way. Inside your chest cavity, pretty much. So they did that, and they found some stuff wrong with my heart. So I have a fake, what valve?
You have an artificial valve.
I have an artificial valve. It's a pig valve. A little bit of in me. So if I eat pig, it's kind of like cannibalism. The pacer is on the right side of my chest and your heart's on the left side of your chest. To make the pacer and my heart connect, there's wires that go across my chest. And these wires, internal wires, they go through what?
Your valve.
My valve. Now they have external wires that can go on the outside.
It's still inside of you, but not through your valve.
Yeah, not through my valve. But the one I have now is actually going through my valve and is causing one of the issues. So we're gonna have to get that fixed when I'm in surgery. When I was born, I had a couple holes in my hearts, and they patched the biggest one, and the other ones they didn't think would be fixed. But one is causing a problem now, and it's causing blood clots, which was a stroke. So we're in the room waiting on the doctor. Surgical theater. Hey guys, just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching this far in the video. The next part of the video is going to be the surgeon explaining everything about the surgery that day. The surgery is scheduled for March 25th, 2019. I had the most amazing family, friends, subscribers, and number one, God and Jesus. I'm going to be alright. You guys just keep watching my videos. Share my videos. I do my videos to make people smile and laugh. I get through this stuff with laughter and humor, so I hope I can inspire somebody to do the same thing. If you're down, you're not alone. There's a lot more people out there worse than you. So just put a smile on your face and just keep going. Never give up and always love Jesus.
So the tricuspid valve that was placed before, you know, you've sort of outgrown that a little bit. So it has two elements to it. It's both leaking and it's a little bit tight, if that makes sense. So the leaflets of the tricuspid valve, you know, after a while, because it's not your own tissue, and it's tissue that's from either a pig or a cow, it's just going to degenerate. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. And once it starts degenerating, it becomes stiff and both causes difficulty of flow through it and then cause some leakage back through it. Okay. Both of which are
leakage is blood, right?
Yes, so the blood that's supposed to go one way in it. And you don't want the blood to come back with every heart pump. Okay. But sometimes when it's leaking back through it, it's a problem, and you can have a combination of both. Both the leaflets are not completely opening well for the flow of blood into the ventricle, but at the same time they're not closing properly either. So when the ventricle starts pumping, some of it will come back. Okay. Okay. So, so that valve needs to be changed again. Correct. So the question is, at this point, we do have options. These are newer options, but we do have the option of trying to do something through the groin, transcatheter, put another valve inside of it. A couple of things come into play why, and we discussed this at length with the cardiology colleagues of ours and see, you know, what would be best for you. One thing is that that size of the valve, you know, it's okay, but it's sort of borderline for you. And every time you do that sort of valve through the groin inside the valve, you're going to lose a little bit of space because you're just limited by the surgical valve that's been there before. And if you put another valve inside of it, you can imagine you're just going to lose a few millimeters of space. So you can definitely, probably it's not in your best interest to go down in size. Right. You know, if anything, you know, you should be upsizing maybe a little bit. So that's one reason that's probably transcatheter is not the best thing for you now. Okay. The other thing is you have those pacemaker leads, and if you do that stented valve through the groin, it's going to trap them there forever. Okay. So those are two issues, and then you have an ASD that's still residual ASD that's probably going to be difficult because of its location for the cardiologist to be able to close it. So you need all those three things addressed. So what can I do differently than a cardiologist? You know, I can excise that previous valve completely and hopefully try to put one valve slightly larger. Okay. It may not be possible. It depends how much scarring you have where the previous valve was. But if there's room for it, we can put a slightly larger valve. So when this valve deteriorates, which it will, just like the other ones, then at that point you have more room to do it through the groin and hopefully not have to open the chest again. Awesome.
So, go ahead. So what you're saying is next time, because y'all are taking the old leads out now too. So next time, there's a high possibility that it won't have to be open heart again.
Yes, yes, and that's the goal. Okay. And part of the reason for removing your leads, even though you know they're okay, you know they're functioning okay, you know that's not a problem. Yeah. But if it's hard to replace the valve without disrupting. Right. And the question is, okay, if we detach the leads and I replace the valve, then if we have, for example, put another set of leads, those leads can damage the valve leaflets, possibly. They may not, but they possibly may damage and shorten the life of the new valve you just got. Okay. Went through all this trouble. So what can I do surgically? I can put the system back on the top of the heart like you had in your belly. Okay. And when that system has been through its lifespan and is done and you need a new system, at that point we can talk about doing it again intravascularly depending on how the valve is looking, or if the valve is looking really good and you don't want to mess with it, we can just change the battery out here.
So moving the whole, moving the pacer
to my belly.
To the belly.
Right. Okay. And you know, Probably we're not going to do this at the time of the surgery, meaning removing this battery, because of just logistics of what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the leads inside the heart, shorten as much as it's in my field of view. We'll do the surgery, we'll put a new pacemaker, close everything, you recover. Then you can go to doctor and he'll just remove this battery and whatever is left of the leads at a different time. Okay. So that's most likely is going to be the sequence there, and you'll end up with a battery again in your belly. Most likely not that side, because just like up here, when you've had one there, it's going to scar, it's going to be very difficult.
Correct.
I'm going to try to put it on this side. It might be also difficult because you've had chest tubes there. So those chest tubes, even though they're small scars, they sort of make everything attach, all the layers of the abdominal wall attached to each other, because I have to find a little space in between your abdominal wall. You don't want the box to be inside your belly. And you don't want it to be too close to the skin because it's going to erode out. So, you have to separate the layers of your abdominal wall and sandwich it in there. And sometimes when you've had those chest tube holes, it makes everything stick to each other. So it's not impossible, but it might be a little bit harder than, a fresh hole, sort of, a fresh
body.
So that's going to be what I'm planning, and then find that residual ASD and close that. Okay. So that's going to be the plan to do all these things. Again, any one of those procedures separately, you've already had those, and in combination, so the risk is not any different from that perspective. Really, the hardest thing about it is going back in. It's just going to be that much more stuck. So at the very beginning of the operation, trying to split your sternum without damaging anything that's just stuck to it is really going to be the hardest part of the operation. And we might have to do the same thing they did before. I don't know if you remember or not, but they opened an incision on your groin. And just in case, sometimes if you're trying to get through the sternum and you injure the heart as you're getting in, then you don't have any room to work on the heart or repair it because you haven't been able to separate things. So what you do is you go on cardiopulmonary bypass through the groin to make sure that everything in the body is fine. All the organs are getting the blood they need and everything, so you have the benefit of time to work more up here. Okay? So that's a possibility that you may wake up and see that we've used your groin.
That's fine. I just had a heart cath then.
Yeah, and which groin did they use for
the right side.
The right side.
I think I've had them on both sides though.
Yeah, you probably have had multiple ones, and you've had, again, it's going to be one of those difficult things because you probably had scarring on both. So
still a little bit higher up this time. So that's probably why.
So, it might be, again, that's a sort of game time decision, but it might be that I will just open the groin anyways, even if I'm not going to use it, because once you get into that situation that something's injured and you're on the clock to try to do things fast, it's very difficult to go through a scarred groin. At the beginning of surgery, before you start splitting the sternum, you have all the time in the world. You can take your time, slowly work things out, find the vessels, then you're good. In case of an emergency, it takes a few minutes to go on bypass. So we may just expose your groin just like before, and if we don't use it, great, we just close it. So that's sort of the outlook. Since you've had so many sternotomies before, I would like to, between now and time of surgery, get a CAT scan of your chest. Because that gives me a view of how stuck things are to each other. Helps me plan my approach a little bit. Okay, that's the only purpose for it. We're not looking for any disease or anything. It just gives me a relational, spatial relations between your structures of the chest. So, okay?
Sounds good.
Questions?
Not that way.
My mom and tell her when the surgery is.
Hey.
Hey.
What you doing, buddy?
Sitting in the garage.
You are?
I are.
What did he say?